Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome back to another episode of Found Footage Friday. Tom and I are back talking another found footage movie. Actually, a newer one. This one came out
brand
in
new
August last month, called The Barbados Project. You can watch it on Tubi. That's where I watched it. I assume that's probably where you watched it.
That's where I found it.
All right. So this one has a 4.6 out of 10 on IMDb, a 2.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and a 3.5 out of 5 from that Voices from the Balcony. Yeah.
That's the second time you've mentioned whoever they are. Yeah.
I'll have to investigate. The short synopsis for this is: a journalist in Barbados investigates a video that surfaced on social media claiming to show a giant unidentified creature. Her story uncovers a multi-nation government conspiracy that will forever change the face of Barbados.
It's definitely one that I've seen mentioned recently. As you said, it's very new.
Yes,
a lot of people are talking about it right now. It's getting a lot of buzz, which is what kind of drew our attention to this.
Yeah.
And what did you think?
You want me to get my rating?
I don't want to steal your thunder here, because I feel like you have. I feel like there's something you want to say right now.
So I guess I'll give my rating first since I introduced it. So my rating for this is a 4.5.
Yep.
Out of 10 tapes. Yeah, I'll do unspoiled in a second, but that's my rating.
We, for the first time in a while, are going to agree on a rating. So nice. I'm going to give this a 4.5.
What's up? Cool.
That's what I had in my head.
Yeah. When I did my little brief short on YouTube review, which I don't do spoilers or deep dives or anything like that. They're like 1-minute little pieces. I went back and forth, but the more I thought about it, I settled on the 4.5.
Yeah. They were definitely going for, well, I don't want to say what they were going for, but sure. I would say that I was underwhelmed would be the word that comes to mind. I had really high expectations for this, and it didn't quite get there.
Yeah. So I went into this one blind. I didn't know anything about it when I watched it. I think I might have known that it was like a creature feature, but that's it.
But did you know it was a sort of mockumentary style?
No,
you didn't, because that's typically your jam, right? Yeah. So this is a mockumentary style. Which was not the worst part about it. Like that's something that usually draws me in too. But without like saying too much about it, I would describe this movie as, and maybe this is saying too much, but Cloverfield meets like Sharknado. If you like both of those things, what do you think? Is that a good?
I see how you got there for sure. And see, I like Sharknado as like a fun movie, but Cloverfield was not one of my favorites.
When you're trying to make like a serious sort of feeling mockumentary.
But it misses the mark.
Yeah.
So I think I can't place my finger on part of why it didn't work, I think, for me. But one of the things is like, I didn't care about anyone in the story.
No.
And I don't know why. Like, I don't know what they could have done. I don't know. But I just I didn't care. And that always makes it harder to like become invested in the film, because then you're just like, But I think its biggest flaw, because I think core level story, which I know we'll talk about a little bit more in just a second, but like I think the concept is not a bad concept.
No, it's pretty good. Yeah,
it's pretty good. It's just that I feel like, and I know we've had to have talked about this before by this point, but like we see that creature way too much
and way too soon.
Yeah. There's no buildup of anticipation of what is going on whatsoever.
That's really the problem. That's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
It's there right at the beginning, and then it's like, what's going to top that? There's not really much in the way of like character sort of development of any kind. And so that's why it's hard to sort of, become,
God, and it sucks because some of the
connected to
government
the
stuff
movie.
could have
Was
been
cool.
so
Yeah.
good. Like,
Very Area 51 sort of feel, or oh geez, some of that sort of stuff.
yeah,
Not,
yeah, yeah. No, I
yeah,
agree.
but it kind of, I mentioned Sharknado. It like literally sort of jumps the shark and points, like, even for a movie
Oh,
of this nature, like it just goes too far, I think.
yeah.
But like the whole covert government project thing that's a draw. Like that pulled me in.
Hmm.
Um,
I agree.
I don't know. There's not. I have a lot to say that would spoil it,
Yeah,
basically.
well, that's
But,
fine.
do you want to just get right into that?
Yeah, let's go ahead. No, we're good. I don't have a lot to say on the unspoiled part. I mean, it's,
Yeah,
yeah,
not beyond that.
yeah.
But like, this is a covert government secret. The government's denying the existence of these giant creatures in Barbados. And like pretty early on in the movie, you see the giant creature walking in the distance. You see them close up. And I think my biggest problem actually with this movie was that the CGI was not good, I thought. The monsters, not only like did it look like the CGI was really poor.
Hmm.
Done. I couldn't do better, but like as far as like a movie,
I know what you mean.
it
Yeah.
wasn't good. And then there really wasn't a lot of like definition even to the creatures. It was kind of like, what am I looking at? If I can't really tell what this is supposed to be?
It kind of made me think of blurry Godzillas.
Like blurry Godzillas. Yeah, yeah. Like Mothra and all those sort of
Yes, yes.
things, except if you couldn't really get if they were just sort of like warped and distorted looking, or if the person who
Yeah.
was making the CGI just didn't do a great job. Maybe that was intentional. I don't know. It didn't work though. I feel like if it
I
was.
think too, one of the other, like, to me, one of the problems I had was like it was like too much. Like you said, it went too far. And like just to kind of like piggyback off of that, it's like it just tried to be too many things. It was government conspiracies, it was time travel, it was
Time travel. That's what I mean by jumping the shark.
but even like the parts where it was like all of a sudden an alien versus a monster,
Yep.
where like the light comes and the girl, like all of that stuff, and then the after effects. Like if they had picked like one
Yeah.
path, I think
Yeah.
it could have been. It just felt too all over the place. And honestly, with the creature stuff, I think they should have just left. Okay, so I thought that the initial shot of the monster from a distance, you know what
That was.
it kind
Yeah.
of
That was.
reminded me of, like an int. Like I thought it was
Yes.
I thought it was like a tree monster, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be
It
cool.
sort of reminded me the movie Troll Hunter.
Yes, and I was like, "Oh, I love Troll Hunters."
Yeah,
I was like,
yeah,
"Okay,
that worked.
cool."
I thought it was like happening really fast, but like that was okay. It was like then when you start seeing them close up is
All
when
the
it was like,
time.
what? Yeah.
Every, like, 4 minutes.
And then like, okay. Then they were like shooting lasers out of their eyes or something. And then but they weren't just lasers, these lasers were infecting
And
people, right?
causing
So it was like
reactions and yeah,
infection, monsters, time
it's
travel,
too much.
aliens,
Busy.
government conspiracy, covering all of this up. So that was a lot.
I agree.
You didn't have enough time to get connected to the characters before bad things happened to them. It was like, here's a
Yeah,
character they're featuring. Now they're dead.
boom.
Like, yeah. So there wasn't enough. There was like a lot. It also like sort of jumped all over the place, just sort of storytelling wise.
Yeah, which also causes disconnect with building relationships between the viewer and the characters.
Yeah, it was like hard to follow. I was confused sometimes. Maybe that's just me, but I was confused.
No,
Like
I
they were
agree.
jumping from like one batch of found footage to another from a different time period. It was disjointed, confusing for me.
And I had like two things that drove me nuts that I thought were like so bad. I just like I chuckled. So like this guy who's like so scared to talk about the monsters just like randomly is like, "Yeah, I'll meet you," and then tell you everything without
Yeah.
hesitation after only meeting you once, knowing you're a journalist and my life is in danger. And none of that made sense to me. I was like, this guy literally was like, "I'm not going to tell you anything." Okay, fine. Like that's
Now
literally
I will.
how that conversation. And then the other thing, this was like I literally face palmed. That YouTuber, content creator, whatever, at the end just magically gets that thing and can open the
Yeah.
portal. I was like, what the hell
Whoa.
is going on? Are you kidding me right now? Where okay,
Yeah.
in what content creating world do you just happen upon this weird
That doesn't
Venus
happen to you?
no, apparently I'm looking in the wrong places. Like I was like, what the that part drove
Yeah.
me. I was like, oh my God, right now.
Like, so I think for me, always the movies that I will rate the highest
Yeah.
are always the movies that, and this is just me, not everyone, their favorite movies would need to be the criteria, but for me, like, is it scary? Like, does it have elements that actually, like, for found footage especially, it's a subgenre in horror, I would say, and so
Yeah. No,
I
I
sort of
agree.
expect it's a little bit scary. I will say though, and this is different from you. You know, one movie that I did not really like?
Well,
Cloverfield.
I didn't like Cloverfield.
You didn't? I
No.
thought you do like Cloverfield.
No, and Cloverfield also frustrates me because it was so mainstream. That's like the
Well,
only found
that,
footage people who hate found footage. Like that's the only movie they've seen. And they
yeah.
always use that as like the standard for found footage. And it infuriates me to no
And,
end. I didn't like Cloverfield. I like the concept. I think the creature design was cool, but the movie as a whole was very lackluster for me.
in that movie, it's sort of like they don't show the creature right
No,
away.
yeah, it takes time.
But I didn't like that either. So maybe, I don't know. And I'm comparing it sort of to this movie.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I just didn't. I didn't find it to be scary. At the beginning, I thought it really had potential, though.
I felt the exact same way.
And I said, "Oh, I can see why people are talking about this movie right now." And I've seen it on a bunch of, like, for people that don't know and who are into found footage, there are a lot of, especially like Facebook groups nowadays that are just dedicated to this sort of this area of interest. And
Yeah.
so a lot of people are posting about the Barbados Project, which
Yeah.
is how I found it. But I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's just not, even if it was good, I feel like I wouldn't have been scared. I don't know. Like I really like Troll Hunter, but I wasn't scared by it either.
Troll Hunter is a very cute movie. It's
Yeah.
very it's like it's more like it's kind of like what I would say like it's more action good than scary good.
Yes. But
If
this
that makes
didn't
sense.
have the action part, right?
Yes,
It's like
right.
if you took Troll Hunter and took away all that sort of fun action and the comedy actually too. Yeah.
I was gonna say Troll Hunter actually does have comedy in it
Yeah, it's funny.
quite a
Which
bit.
I
Well,
don't often like in horror, but
and I think to your point, you had said, like you don't get attached to characters before something bad happens to them. You also don't get time to adjust to characters before a new part of the story is being thrown at you.
right. Like a
Like
new
because it's just too much. I think it's way too jumbled. But yeah, I think that I thought the exact same thing in the opening when it had the like I swear that's what it reminded I immediately thought it from Lord of the Rings, like immediately. And I
yeah.
was like, or well, I guess from Middle Earth, but you know what I mean. So like I saw it and I was like, okay, I was like intrigued.
And
And I
I got
liked that it was somewhere else. I liked that the
uh-huh.
people looked different than what we
Oh
see
yeah,
in
I love
every
that
found
part.
footage
Yes.
movie. Like there was
Yes.
a lot of really like, okay, cool, and then it was like,
I really wanted to love it.
I know, me too. And
I was like,
like I said,
I found footage from Barbados.
I'm
Like,
like,
and
yeah, I
I should say, I don't
know.
know if it was actually filmed
Oh, I don't
there
know either.
or if the crew, the production team was from Barbados. I don't know. But like, I was excited sort of about that. I got a vibe also when we were getting some of the footage from like the 80s and there was a professor talking about, I don't know if this will mean any, if you were a fan, but like, it reminded me of like the show Lost. Did you ever watch Lost? and
Yeah.
like the Dharma Initiative
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah, yeah,
all of
yeah.
that
Oh,
sort
I
of like
didn't even
stuff,
think
all
about that,
this
but yeah, I
footage
see
from the
that. Yeah.
70s or wherever it was supposed to be, like it sort of felt like that. They were going for that sort of thing. Especially with like there's like portals and like I don't know. It was there
And
were a lot of ideas, a
the
lot of
ending is
cool
like,
ideas, but
yeah, and the ending is like it's showing like other people finding stuff, right? I'm trying to remember the clips.
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
I was a
yeah,
little checked out by the ending. Okay, so yeah, so I
yeah,
and I gotta be on this is gonna sound however it sounds, but like I'm kind of glad the clips at the end weren't good because then I would have been mad because I would have been like, all these clips at the end are super
yeah.
good, and then but I just felt like it's all the same all the way across. I didn't,
No,
yeah,
yeah, there was just it was pretty even. Yeah, there was no like there weren't even like any like particular like sometimes we'll watch some of these movies and be like, oh, but this one shot was really cool, or there was this one scary scene. I did like the initial shot where you
me too.
see the thing sort of looks like an ant in the
It
distance,
does.
but like
Hmm.
that's and I like that it took place somewhere different, as you said. Like that
Yeah.
was awesome,
And they
you
could
know.
have just this would have made such a big difference if they had done less in your face with the monsters. They
Yeah.
could have gone practical effects with it, and it would have been like
Oh,
miles
so
better,
much
like
better. If
so much better.
I always feel like, and I'm not a filmmaker, but like if I can't do CGI, I probably shouldn't. Or if someone can't do CGI, like, but maybe you can't do practical effects either. I don't know, but that feels like
Yeah.
that would fit better.
But and I just feel like there's so many like movies with monsters or creatures or aliens or whatever where you don't see anything at all
Yeah,
or only like a very tiny bit at the end. And you can always go that route. That can be super effective. It's like we talked
yeah,
about, like in Blair Witch, you see nothing the
no,
entire time.
yep,
And it's
nothing.
super effective. So I feel like I don't know, like too much of the creature. That was like my biggest complaint was it was way too much. But you're right. It was a very jumbled storyline. I didn't feel very connected. I just felt chaotic.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't check out by the end. I watched the whole thing, but
Yeah.
it was definitely not my favorite that we've watched recently, and it's the first since Incantation that we both agreed on a tape
The
rate.
rating.
The opposite, though. This time, I would say we both really, really enjoyed Incantation. For people
Oh,
who
right.
haven't watched that episode,
But yeah.
all
So
right, the Barbados Project.
the Barbados Project. Before we go, I wanted to take a minute to plug in the fact that if you guys don't know this, Tom Reimer is an author.
I am.
He writes, and he writes horror books, essentially. I have all of them. I just have to. Um, and so I just wanted to take a second to talk about his books because,
Oh, thank you.
I'm a fan. Well, I haven't finished the trilogy yet. This is the trilogy.
The
One.
glowing trilogy. There it is. Oh, it looks great.
It's beautiful.
Those covers.
They're gorgeous. I'm like halfway through two. First two. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
giant
I'm like
spider.
halfway through two. So I'm almost done. I'm getting there. But this is and I posted these when I got these in and I posted about them. That was like all the comments were about how beautiful the covers were.
Yep.
The purple, it works. I love it.
Purple's a big theme in those books.
Correct.
So that and those would be more, I would say, closer to YA sci-fi
Right.
horror.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
that's
agree. Yeah. I'm really
aliens
enjoying them though.
and aliens. And for people that don't know my books so far, they've all taken place in the state of Massachusetts. So they take place in real life locations and obviously fictional events, but that's about an alien invasion and a bunch of quirky kids that are pretty much the lone survivors. And I guess speaking of the movie we just talked about, my books have a lot of stuff crammed into, including
Oh,
time
well, yeah,
travel
but
and big monsters and aliens.
yeah,
And all
yeah,
that.
yeah,
No.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the glowing trilogy. Pick
Yeah.
it up.
I have them. Yeah. So I have all three. Like I said, I'm halfway through the second. I mean, they're fun. I'm enjoying them. I flew through the first one because I had started it, I think, when I first got them, and then I thought for some reason I didn't because I remember I was like,
Yeah.
why does this name sound familiar? And I was like, wait, I feel like okay. So I was trying to remember, and then I was like, oh, it's because I've read it. I've read this part already. And then I flew through the first one. Like I went to go get a tattoo done, and I flew through it. Like I got it done like before my appointment was over.
It's the shortest of all.
It is the shortest. Yeah.
That one I wrote, I mean, over a decade now. I mean, even though it was only published
Really?
a couple of years ago at this point,
Huh.
it was written well over a decade ago, and then just sort of sat in a shelf, in a drawer for a really long time until I pulled it out again, and then someone wanted to publish it. Shadow Spark Publishing actually is my publisher.
So what was the
Shout out to
what
them.
made you decide to do that if it had been put up for so long?
Um, I just had been, I'd neglected it for a really long time and pulled it out, read it all over again, made a lot of edits and revisions, and then
Yeah.
on a whim, I saw someone that was looking for, it was an open submission call, so I submitted it, and the rest is history. And now I that's a whole trilogy plus another book that you have there, Malevolent Nevers, came out. And then another book I have coming in February. Now, Malevolent Nevers, I would say, has done a lot better than the trilogy.
Oh, really?
Probably
Like it's
most
just
people who, if anyone, most people who've read something I have read, it's Malevolent Nevers at this point. Read something I've written, I should say.
oh, I knew what you meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read this first.
Yes. That's more traditional horror, gothic horror.
No, I
So,
loved this one. If you're watching and you're looking for something to read right now with the season changing,
it's
this is a perfect book.
set in, wait, nope, I can't do it. Okay. Set in, I was trying to point to the book, but I clearly didn't know what I was doing. Set in Halloween or on Halloween in the month of October.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great read. That artwork I am in love with, and that is painted by the well-known horror author Gemma Amore.
Mm-hmm.
And she's awesome, and she's actually doing the cover for my next book as well.
Oh, nice. I love Gemma's covers.
Yes, yeah, she's wonderful. And that book, yeah, that was a lot. That was a lot of fun to write. So take a read because
this one's super. I loved this one. And I'm a slow reader. Like I'm not. God, there's people that read like 30 books a month. I don't know how.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this was one that like I found, even though it took me a little while to finish it, it was when I started to read, I struggled to like stop and then pick it. You know what I mean? Like this one was really fun. I loved it. I really did. This one was really fun.
And it's got a room filled with clowns. So if that's something that might give you nightmares, you should definitely read it.
A pretty like cute, like unique take on something like that too, though. I won't say what, obviously, but that's really, no, this one was really good. And then you should definitely go pick up all of the books.
Thank you. Oh, it's cool seeing them all there together.
Yeah.
So awesome.
Eventually my shelves will be up and they will all my signed books will be on one shelf, and then I'll get to have like my other ones. But yeah, like, and I think like you can tell my reading of this one, because this one's a little more battered than the other ones. But I've tried to be more careful with my books since tearing up my other ones. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to take a second and talk about your books because I'm really enjoying the glowing. I loved Malevolent Nevers, and
well,
we never talked about your book, so
I should say, here, because this is Found Footage Fridays, my next book is completely inspired by found footage, or a lot of it is inspired by found footage. It features a film crew going somewhere they should not go, and what ensues after that tragic mistake. So if you watch a lot of found footage, I think there's going to be a lot in it that comes a little familiar to you.
I'm excited to see the cover.
It's in progress right now, so not too much longer. But the book, it doesn't come out until February. So
yeah, I know. I thought it was 2023.
Yep.
Jim is really great. I like a lot. I have so many books that have her artwork on them. But then I also read 6 Rooms was my first
Yep.
book club book, or my second book club book, or whatever. So good.
I feel like just today or yesterday she had a new book come out called Full Immersion. So
Yeah, it's like her life story.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a what is it? A labor of love.
Absolutely.
Passion project for her. So yeah, but that's cool. So check out Tom's books.
Thank you, Angel. I appreciate the plug.
Yeah, I show you all my stickers, but I think all but one have a home. So
That's fine.
cool.
Well, this ended up being Barbados Project and a little bit of book talk today.
Just a little bit. It's fine. So yeah, so that's our thought on Barbados Project. Oh yeah,
Fridays.
That's right. Not the next video after this one, but hopefully by the next one, I'll have made VHS tape earrings.
Okay.
We'll see.
Can't wait.
Make sure.
So next episode, we're talking about
Savage Land. 2015.
Savage Land. What did you say?
It came out in 2015.
Also on Tubi, if you want to watch it before our next episode.
You should definitely go watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on this Friday. Tom and I will be back next week with Savage Land. So we will see you guys. Let's see. What is it? Friday. So have a good weekend. Have a good week coming up, and we'll see you in the next one.
Happy Friday.